right, y'all. It is Monday, June 20th. Oh, we've come a long way. This is episode 27. And aside from 2 missed dates, I have consistently given you guys content, which I'm actually pretty proud about, believe it or not. That means that for like roughly 9 or 10 weeks straight, I've been doing this. And that's definitely, I know that there's a lot of parts of my blog, my whole system that's hurting, but I'm glad that this is, maybe I might do, I was thinking about I might do seasons, because I know that that's like, it's being offered to me. I might do seasons for my podcast, kind of just to give myself some time to grow and my life to adapt in between the break. And then I'll just go like really hard on my blog, and all my other stuff, because this is extremely time consuming. Like I just spent, I've been up since like 6:15 this morning after a really rough night, because like I suspected, my son is in fact sick. He has pink eye, which his sister just had. So that's probably making its way through the house. And there's nothing fun like about a 1-year-old with pink eye. He doesn't understand like why his eye hurts. So he's just sitting there and he's like laying on my chest and he's beating my chest like, why, Mom, make this pain go away? And if you haven't noticed by now, this is going to be a mommy ass episode. Like this is going to be mom struggles level 1,000. So, I know that at least one of my listeners, aka Carrie, doesn't have children at all. So, but she does have like children in her life and she cares about my kids a lot and she's also a great supporter. So I'm sure that she's, listening in and just being like, oh, I'm going to listen to this episode anyway. That reminds me, I remember once considering like what Carrie would be like as a mom. And I don't know, maybe it's just because, we both still have like a kid mentality, but I couldn't see her being a mom, not because she would be a bad mom, but just because I feel like she is the fun aunt. I don't, and plus, I know that kids are not something that she really wants, which is fine. And I think we need to get rid of the stigma that if you're a woman who doesn't want kids, then there's something wrong with you, because there isn't. Being a mom is so fucking hard. And it almost always, you never find out how hard it is until you're there. Like, that people associate it like, oh, taking care of a human and doing all this other stuff is really hard. But believe it or not, the bathing and the eating and everything like that, and buying clothes for your kid, that's not the hard part. It's the other shit that they don't tell you. But that's because it varies from person to person. Then there's also a lot of people who don't tell you how hard it is because they don't want to admit that this is like, there's this stigma attached to parenting or particularly being a mother. You know what? Let's take a quick break. Let's take a really quick break and then I'll delve into that because I felt like I was about to just go off. So today is a parenting episode. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a second. All right, y'all, and we're back. Sorry, I have to stick in the ads where they fit, So like I was saying, I believe that there are a bunch of stigmas that we need to get rid of. And to be honest, I wish I could know where these stigmas come from, because it's like everybody wants to get rid of them, but obviously they only came about because of people in the first place. So I think that a lot of people, so I spoke about this before. I say that a lot. I spoke about this before that, I'm relatively young, but I do have 3 kids, which has given me a wealth of experience to pull from in just about every scenario. So today there was a new kid in my daycare. And sure enough, I looked at him and I was just like, oh, this kid has to be Spanish. Like I can see it in his face and his hair texture. There's something about him. So his mom comes in and I'm making small talk with her. I'm like, are you Spanish? Is he mixed? Because I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, nobody has to agree with it. I feel like almost all mixed children could pass for siblings, especially Black and Spanish. There's a certain quality that is just it's apparent, and that's kind of like saying everybody of a certain race looks the same, which again I don't disagree with, because I feel like there are certain things that maybe it's because my children are mixed, so I pay attention to it a little more. I'm mixed. I feel like there are certain attributes that can be attributed to people of a certain race or ethnicity. You know, sharpen up your pitchforks, whatever. But a lot of Jewish people have distinct noses. Black people who have like, there's like black people and there's African people. I firmly believe that there's a difference. Especially those like really rooted in African roots, they have high cheekbones. Particularly, there's also, if you have a wider nose, I mean, chances are you're black. There's also a couple of Hispanic cultures, like Dominican around there, where like they have a distinct, very wide nose. Let's see what else. If you're Spanish but have straight hair, I would almost always assume that you are, I don't want to say just Mexican, but that would probably be my first to go. Like jet black straight hair would probably be Mexican. Asian people have eye slants. Okay, and that's, maybe I'm not saying this in the most politically correct way, but I do believe that that plenty of people, I mean, that's like, I'm Dominican. Okay, I'm Dominican, Puerto Rican. My body looks like it. Okay, I had fair hair as a kid. Tans over the years have done me justice, but overall, I am fair skinned. I do have green eyes, and I feel like what distinguishes me from anybody thinking that I might be Caucasian, which is the leading group of people with colored eyes and fair hair, would be that, my body type. I think that it fits with being Latina. So, I just feel like everybody from a certain group does share attributes. Anyway, so I was able to pull out that this kid was mixed. So I'm talking to his mom, we're making small talk or whatever. And she's like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so happy that I got to meet you, because I guess, she had come on a tour 2 weeks before, and I hadn't started yet because I started last Monday. And she was like, I can tell that you're really good with kids. Like, she was like, I can see it, you know your way around kids, whatever. And that kind of made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, because I'm like, wow, that makes me feel good, because I've always questioned myself as a mom. Always have. And that's because there are people in my life that have told me that I'm a less than stellar mom. And common sense should kick in that my kids are overall happy children. They're well-mannered. They eat well. They are in peak physical fitness. And it's not because I'm a hard ass as a parent or anything like that. I just take care of my children. But I think the only reason I let what people say get to me is because that it is an insecurity of mine. There were plenty of things about my mom that I wished were different. I don't even want to say I wanted to change. And like I said, I think I also mentioned this before. I never wished that somebody else that I knew was like my mom. Oh, I wish you were my mom. No, I just wish that my mom herself didn't have these things, or the things were different for my mom that would make her a better mom. And the truth is, I love my mom. Or not the truth is, that makes it sound like it's a secret. I love my mom. I do. I would give up anything for my mom. But, our relationship is the way that it is for a reason. So that was happening today. This woman, she complimented me, and apparently I didn't even know who she was, and this was her first day here, and she'd already heard about me and was like, oh, you know your way around. And my director, I told you on Friday, she was like, oh, we've already gotten rave reviews from parents. I'm like, okay, great. This is awesome. But I feel like in order to get to where I'm at now, a lot of it is common sense, but some of the things that are difficult about parenting, they're not the things that anybody tells you. It sounds cliche, but it does not come with a manual. And going back to the stigma, I feel like there is a stigma that women, because they are nurturing and women are mothers, can like do it all and all this other stuff, which is, I don't know where that stigma came from either, because there's plenty of women who are incompetent as parents. Not to attack the womanhood, but it's true. And then there's the stigma that, so I feel like women don't talk about how hard it is parenting, because once you say that something is hard, it's like if I say math is hard, I'm inadvertently admitting that I'm bad at math, which is crazy because that is the connotation of that. But that's not what I mean. I could say, nursing, which is something that I used to do, is hard. It most certainly is. But can I do it? Yes. Can I do it well? Yes. Math is hard. Am I good at math? Yes. So both can be true. Now, parenting is very hard. Like I said, the whole making sure that a child eats, not hard. Making sure that a child goes to the doctor, making sure they have clothes, not hard. Communicating with a little person that can't talk, very hard. There are plenty of other things about parenting that is, hell, it's hard. But these are the things that people don't talk about, because the second that you say that something is hard, it's like you're admitting that you're having trouble with it. And people think that being a mom is innate. Being a parent is innate. It comes buried inside of you, and once you have a kid, you just know. But that's not the truth. That's not what it is. I had different experiences with my children as far as how I felt as a mom towards them. When my daughter was born, that was vague. I have 2 daughters. When my oldest was born, I was going through a really tough time in my life, and the postpartum depression set in hard, because I remember the first night that I really brought her home after she was in the NICU. Like, she's crying and my mom comes in. She's like, no, give me the baby. And I was like, no, I need to figure this out. I need to figure her out, because when you're not around, I'm going to be fucked. And like in the weeks following, every time she cried, there was like, I remember this distinctly, like this one time where she cried for like 3 hours. No matter how much I held her, rocked her, tried to feed her, bounced her, stood up with her, she wouldn't stop crying, to the point where I wanted to start crying. And she was like 2 weeks old, and I didn't know what the hell to do. So I feel like a lot of people just don't want to admit that something isn't as easy. It doesn't come naturally. And I think that women are embarrassed that being a mother doesn't come naturally. This also relates to the stigma that for some reason all men are incompetent as fathers, which I don't agree with, because if I'm looking to be honest, call it the experience, call it, I don't know, maybe just age. But my kid's dad, his mom had 8 kids, and he learned a lot about what he knows about parenting from his mom. He's also a very particular man, a man unlike many that I've met. That makes me sound like I've met a ton of men and I just haven't, which again, the connotation of that is weird. I have met my fair share of men, but not in a intimate sense. And I don't know why I feel like I have to explain that, but there you go. So he is not like men like him are not portrayed on TV. He is definitely the exception, which is why when I met him, I was so dumbfounded, because men are usually portrayed to be incompetent as fathers, that moms always have it on lock, and they're total dirtbags and, insensitive and don't know how to cook or clean for themselves, which is not true. Okay. He can fold laundry 1,000 times better than I can. Probably courtesy of the military. We were both in, but he's just better at it. When it comes to certain things with food, he loves to experiment in the kitchen. I'm more of a recipe kind of person. I have branched out a lot, and I've gotten better in the kitchen, but his sense around the kitchen is innate. So I think we need to get rid of the stigma that every mom just knows how to be nurturing and knows what to do to take care of a kid. No, mother knows best, and that men are idiots, and don't know how to take care of their kid, and they're holding them out. And oh my God, I don't know how to change a diaper, and I don't know how to do it. No, plenty of moms don't know how to fucking mom. And plenty of dads are able to cook, clean, do diapers, and do all that, and don't need, they're parents. Parenting is figuring out your kid. That has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman. How you do it is how you do it. Also, a stigma that needs to be fucking removed is that if you're a woman and you don't want children, that makes you weird. It doesn't. Look at the fucking world we live in. You really want to raise a child like that? Like, it takes a lot of guts to say you do. A lot of people want children for different reasons. Some want to extend their legacy. Some genuinely want to be parents to pass on the knowledge that they have acquired. I think that there's a lot about parenting that we don't understand. Honest to God, I was having this thought today. If I found out that I was having another child, I don't know what I would do. Do I think that I'm a good mom? Yes. Do I think that I'm better than most? Also, yes. You learn this working at a daycare center because you are privy to other people's parenting. Let's just put this 100% out there. I work with Jamila's teacher, and I see how she operates. I don't personally step in the way because this is her zone now. Even if I'm in the same building, me and her are essentially raising Jamila together. She is showing Jamila the social skills that I don't. When Jamila's at home, she doesn't, I don't tell her, hey, sit down, raise your hand, ask to go to the bathroom, all this other stuff. I don't. This is her house. When she needs to use the bathroom, she gets up and goes use the bathroom. And even I've had to catch myself from telling her, please stop asking me to go use the bathroom, because I realized that at school she does. There are certain rules that she has to follow. She can't kick back and relax. She has to sit at her desk. She has to follow the teacher's rules. So I'm not going to come in there and be like, well, because I'm your parent, it's okay for you to do whatever the fuck you want to do, because when she's at school, that's not okay. So that's why I say that. So, there are kids in my daycare that I think their parents are slacking a little bit, but that doesn't mean that I don't understand the slack. For example, some kids' Pampers are too small. This isn't particular to any kid in my daycare. I'm just giving an example. Some kids' Pampers are too small. Somebody may ask, well, why is it that they haven't gotten new Pampers for their kid? What the hell, blah, blah, whatever. As a working parent, it's very hard, especially some of these kids get dropped off at 7 a.m. and don't get picked up until after 5. And then after that, you're probably racing to get your kid home if you don't have other kids. And you got to make dinner and you got to do everything that you've got to do in your house. It leaves very little time to do the extra. Plus, there's also crap. Especially at the stage that I'm dealing with, some of these kids grow like weeds. This pack of Pampers is too small, but I just bought this pack and it cost me $50, and there's 15 Pampers left or 25 Pampers left. Maybe they should just finish using it out so that way we don't throw away an entire brand new set of Pampers. There's different circumstances that people don't take into consideration. But there are also some things that are just inexcusable. Although I understand how hard it is to fix that issue, it's kind of like you should just do it anyway, which is the hard part about parenting. It's there are certain things that nobody's gonna tell you. when I'm left alone with the kids, I kind of just get a feel for what they need. I have this little kid in my daycare, Spider Peter. That's what I call him. And he, his parents send him with 6 ounces of formula every day, multiple bottles, 6 ounces. He takes that shit down. Okay, he takes it down completely in like less than 5 minutes. And he's usually rooting around for another bottle. He's about 7 or 8 months. He's at a point where he's interested in food. He finishes all of his baby food. So, I told his parents today, I'm like, hey, this ain't enough. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Oh, he's also supposed to be on solids. Yeah, we know. We've given him the solids. We've given him the formula. He takes it all down. In my experience, there has to be a healthy balance. When you give a kid food and milk, if the milk goes down too fast, and this is also like you also provide baby food and it goes down too fast, that kid is hungry. Also, if they leave too much behind, then it's like, okay, this might be too much for that kid. You have to gauge it based on experience and common sense. Okay, this is the perfect amount for that kid. So I give the parents who come in, I'm like, hey, I've just spent all day with your kid. I've observed their eating habits. I've observed this. I think that they're ready for this. Maybe it doesn't follow the timeline that you were thinking about following. Or, hey, is your kid teething? Hey, your kid might be showing up with, some sort of congestion or some sort of, whatever. Because as a mother, I notice these things. I notice that they won't notice it because kids are different at home than they are here, but I need to operate based off of their behavior here. And even that parent was like, oh my God, he's not even really doing this good with milk and solids at home. At home, he's more comfortable. Here, he's just like, hey, it's time to eat. And it happens. It happens. By the time my kids get home, I'm lucky if they really feel like eating anything after being outside all day. That's just how it is. I don't force my kids to eat anything because I don't want them to have an unhealthy association with food. If they choose not to eat dinner and they want to survive on air, hey, the more the merrier. Okay? I am so happy that you feel like you can survive on thoughts of food. Wonderful. Do not ask me for any snacks though. Any desserts, any of that. Don't do it because I'm not going to give it to you. But if you want to substitute dinner with fruit or anything healthy, be my guest. I'm not going to stop you. Because the point is that you eat. Eat something that you feel comfortable with. There's a fucking balance to parenting, and doing that is the hard part. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be back shortly. All right. So where was I? Okay. So the reason why I wanted to talk about parenting today is because I just feel like, I don't know, right now, all of my kids are sick. And God, it's awful. One passed pink eye on to the other, and now the one who originally had it is good, but the second one has it, and this is highly contagious, and I don't know if because the first one doesn't have it anymore, she will get it again now that the second one has it. Whatever. But I just realized that it's like, so when I started working at my job, I felt like, wow, I can actually take care of multiple babies at once and like be good. Why the hell was I flipping my lid at home with my own children? Obviously, it's not the same. My children are multiple ages. I have no one to turn around and give them to at the end of the day. And it's crazy to say, but in daycare, I feel like babies in daycare are slightly easier because they have learned how to be away from their parents. So they're more malleable and they're more accepting of other people. Some of these kids, God, I envy the shit. You could put them into a crib and they will generally just be like, oh shit, yeah, it's about time to sleep. They'll go ahead, they'll suck their thumb, put their head down and soothe themselves to sleep. And I'm like, whoa, I've never actually witnessed this, because my kids are fucking on me all the time and they never they were just not willing to not be, not be on top of me. They really just weren't. Wow. Now that I'm hearing that, it sounds really crazy. But I saw this mom today and her kid, it was her first day starting, and she was very much so like me. I could see the despair through her mask because her kid, she put her 8-month-old daughter with us, and the kid would not stop crying. This wasn't just like, oh, she wouldn't stop crying because she was hanging out and nobody was paying attention to her. Nope. We carried her. We gave her breast milk. We did everything under the sun that we could. And after 4 hours, she had not eaten a thing at all. This kid was starving herself to death because she missed her mom so much. And I sympathize with babies because I'm like, I get it. It's got to be such a sucky feeling like you're somewhere, like somebody just abandoned you, you know. And these kids, literally, that's how they think. They're like, oh my God, mom abandoned me in this place and she doesn't want me anymore. She doesn't love me anymore. Fuck, what am I gonna do now? And they just sit there and they cry because they're depressed. People don't believe it when I say that, but babies get depressed the first time that they're away from their parents. That's why they don't want to eat. They don't want to, they don't want to sleep. They're crying nonstop. They don't want anything. Sound familiar? Sounds like depression. Babies do get depressed, and they do this on a daily basis. And then they get all overjoyed and all overwhelmed when they realize, oh my God, mom, you came back for me. So it is hard on babies. But the reason why I talk about this lady is because I saw her despair because it mirrored my own with my son. Now, Jamila, I didn't have this feeling with Jamila because with Jamila, I went straight back to work and I was in school. With Adriana was with my parents, and by the time she finally went to daycare, she was a little over a year. It was a little bit hard, but we made it. With my son, though, my son doesn't want anybody but me. Even right now, the only way that I'm able to do this is because he's downstairs with my dad, who he's familiar with. But like I said, right now he has pink eye and all he wants is mom. I'm gonna have to stay up late to do laundry tonight. So I don't know what about this job, or maybe it's the podcast. I don't know what it is that's helping me. But it's like I'm finally through the fog of postpartum depression. I'm finally through the fog of my kid is clinging to me and just me. Breastfeeding is over. So I'm like at least 10 times happier. I've gone from, oh my God, I want to kill myself, to just a little bit dead inside, which is great. It is improvement. It is progress. Okay. So now I have all this wonderful insight because I'm a mom of 3 and I made it over like the 1 year to 1.5 year hump with my last kid. So now everybody's like, my kids play together and, and all that other shit. And sometimes I can just come down, I can put him down and he'll play with his sisters, and I can actually go like use the bathroom briefly or make breakfast or something. Sometimes I might even get a chance to eat my dinner alone, which is very exciting. So I have all this wisdom now, right? And so I look at this lady and, we asked her, is this the first time that she was like, this is the first time she's been away from me ever. I'm like, ever? She goes, yeah, save for like one doctor's appointment months ago. And the girl is 8 or 9 months. And the mother wanted to, I could see it. She wanted to console her daughter, but I could see the annoyance through it. Like fuck, why can't you just be okay with this? Why do you need me and only me? She was like, well, she's such a good baby for me. And I'm like, yeah, that's normal. She's going to, because she wants to be with just you. And it's that suffocation. Babies suffocate their parents like absolutely nobody's business. Okay, they are worse than controlling spouses. They will sit there and manipulate you and make you feel the guilt and all this other stuff. And it was just like, I know she didn't want to say it. She didn't want to say like, fuck, I I need you to be okay with this because I need to move on with my life now. I did my job. I was pregnant with you for however long I was pregnant with you, and I put you out, and I've been giving you breast milk. I've been nurturing your little body. I've been in your face, changing your diapers, doing all this other stuff, and now you're getting to that point where you can start being independent. When are you going to start being a person? And when are you going to let me find who I am again? And I felt so bad because it wasn't the time or place to say it. And I wanted to relate to her. I wanted her to know, Mama, you're not alone. You are not alone, because I absolutely detested whenever my kid would cry for me, because I would get mad with the entire world, because I'm like, why are more people? Why? If it takes a fucking village, why am I in this shit like post-apocalyptic? Like, I'm the only person left in the village. No one is, taking my kid. No one is doing all of this. No one is helping my kid become a better person, socially comfortable socially, by saying, hey, let me expose your kid to different people by, different family members taking my kid. And then there it goes. I really didn't want to yawn on this goddamn podcast. All right. And it was just, I felt so bad for her. I did, because I'm like, God, this is what I must have looked like to other people, and people who pat me on the back and they be like, time is almost here. So I told her straight up, I'm like, listen, I don't need. And she said the same things that I was saying, like her kid sleeps with her, which is, Daxia sleeps with me. He totally sleeps with me. I have a sleep number bed, and it's like a split top, and it has, like, you can change it according to who's sleeping on it. He has his own sleep profile. Okay, whenever he's sitting up and watching cartoons at night, I put the bed in TV mode on his side, and he sits there and he hangs out. Okay, he's basically like my step-in husband for right now. Okay, and it just, I wish more women knew that just about every parent feels that way. Like, I know we all hate the Becky who comes up and is like, oh my God, my kids are perfect. My life is perfect. All my kids are great. And, and I'm never really overwhelmed. But let's be real, you guys. She's an alcoholic. On the low, she's doing coke, masturbating severely, anything to get out of that feeling. Because are there kids out there that are easier than most? Yes. Are there people out there that genuinely enjoy parenting and they're mentally well? Yes. But it is not easy. And if you say that parenting is like glorious and perfect, then you're fucking lying. Sorry. That's just how I feel about it. I have yet to meet a person who successfully is, and maybe that's because I'm surrounded by people who lack the resources that I did. There are plenty of people who are happy with their kids, but that's because they have like, that sounds like there aren't people who, like, only poor people are unhappy with their kids. But the reality of it is that those that are wealthy have a higher chance of being happier with their kids because they have access to more resources. And that's not just to say, a night nanny and blah, blah, and all that other stuff. But you do have help because, even if you don't have the village, you can hire the village. Okay, it doesn't have to all fall on you. You have time to pay for somebody to watch your kids so you yourself can get recreation. I really think that being mentally unwell because of parenting is almost directly related. Not almost directly related, but there is a correlation between being not financially stable and being overwhelmed as a parent. Even if it's just one kid, 8 kids, it doesn't matter. It takes a lot. There is something trapping about knowing that you can't afford to put your kid anywhere just so you can go do your nails, or you can go, because recreation is important, and people forget that when you become a parent, yeah, you're signing yourself up to give up all that shit, but that doesn't mean that I'm signing myself up to fucking put my mental health at stake. I still need things as a parent. Hello, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, fucking security, love, fun, all that other shit. It's on there and it's important. And I think that for those people that don't want children, I think that it's just that they recognize, there's nothing wrong with not wanting kids. Having kids is a lifetime commitment. And if you can acknowledge that's a commitment that you cannot handle or do not want, then I think that is very noble of you, because then what happens is only one of my kids were planned. And sometimes I feel very, very bad. Well, one of them was planned, and still, by the time she came around, the plan was botched. Okay? I was not where I thought I would be when I started that plan. The plan went completely off the rails. And sometimes I feel bad for my kids because they have had to deal with me sometimes in my darkest moments. Does that mean that I have abuse them or anything like that? Actually, I found out recently that I don't want to say I was emotionally abusing my kid, but I was definitely taking it out on, like, I didn't recognize that Jamila is only 3 years old. She pees on herself, and it gets me upset because I'm like, you were potty trained like 2 weeks ago. What the hell? And like, I get really mad. She sees that I'm mad, and it's like, she sees that she disappointed me, and I let her see that disappointment, which I guess technically is a form of abuse because I didn't hide it. And so I made her feel bad about herself. And it wasn't until recently that I was like, shit, there are some things that I've done to ruin my children because they've seen me at my worst. They've seen me when I'm just not happy. And as a result of that not happiness, I don't want to hear about their day. I'm just like, oh, please leave me alone. I don't want to play with them and all that other stuff. And I'm like, shit, my kids, the plan that I had for my kids when I started parenting, it's gone completely. And I think that there are plenty of people out there that if you can recognize that you don't want children because you don't want to pass on that trauma to them, and everybody's just like, oh, but well, you'll figure it out. Just like when people tell you, oh, well, but life gets better. What if it doesn't get better? What if you don't figure it out? It's not innate to everyone. That's just my thoughts on parenting. I could do this all day, but this podcast is getting a little bit long. So maybe there might be a part 2 to this. But I just wanted to, my heart went out to that lady because I can see it. She didn't want to show us her disappointment right there. But I want to say, baby, this is a safe space because I'm equally as disappointed with the amount of attachment that my kid has to me, because it's supposed to be like, that's like, I get it. Your kid is supposed to be attached to you. There's nothing wrong with that. But then it's like this level of attachment, it's suffocating. Like, people who be like, they'll tell their spouse or their partner, like, oh my God, please, I just need space right now. Like, that's really how it feels with a baby, except the baby doesn't give a fuck if you need space or not. So they just be like, love me, wipe my ass, be in my face, let me have your titties, all this other stuff. It gets real. It gets real. So please don't make people feel bad if they don't want children, because that shit is that's like when other people see me and they're like, oh, aren't you gonna have another kid? Aren't you gonna have another baby because you have 3? Wouldn't you like to try for another boy? Well, Susie, are you gonna fucking pay for this boy? Are you gonna have him with your vagina? Are you gonna carry him for 9 months? Because I want to know what you're gonna do when I'm fucking stressed out and I've got postpartum depression and I feel like throwing my kid up against the fucking wall. I want to know what you're gonna do. Oh, but you want me to have another one just so that way I can look the part for you. Fuck you, Susie. And with that, this episode of Spilling the Anxiety has been brought to you by my fucking experience with parenting and my ability to tell people to shut the fuck up and not feel bad about it. So, here's to mental health, okay, as an important part of parenting that a lot of people with lack of resources have. So, or don't have, they don't have, mental health. So, everybody, I hope that you guys have a fantastic week, and I will check in again on Wednesday. If I do decide to split my podcast into seasons, Friday will be my last episode of the season. Let me see, this is 27, 28, 20. Ew, no, 28 is a gross number to end off. 29 is a gross number to end on, so I would probably make it Wednesday. But I'll make the decision and I'll let you guys know. So take care, everybody.